spouse to continue with the exemption. And also unremarried surviving spouse, if the volunteer died in the line of service, I think it's less years that they would have had to have served for the fire company in order for the surviving spouse, unremarried surviving spouse, to get that exemption.
I think we're all anxious to look at it and,
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
put
And
everybody
once we get more information from the, again, this one was just signed, I believe, in December as well. So it's so late, it's hard to get that in place and allow time for the firefighters to file a new exemption application. I will also say, because I forgot to mention, there are, I believe, according to our records, there are 3 towns that never opted into the original exemption, and that's Ankrum, Greenport, I believe, and Livingston. I have heard from the Ankrum supervisor that they are considering adopting, they're looking into perhaps adopting this at their, holding a local law soon, but I don't have confirmation of that. But there again, they don't offer it at this point.
It's not going to work this year anyway, so
Yeah, well, it might if they do it before March, but they
can only do the 3%
I
now.
think he said it would be like perhaps a dozen firefighters that it would impact within his fire department. So they're, from a town level, it's a smaller number, but if we try to coordinate this countywide,
Just keep us in the loop from here on out.
Yes.
Yep.
That'll work.
And just one question about data. Can we get the data in terms of if we're trying to assess how many people in our fire departments might be eligible?
Yeah,
Can we?
yes, well,
we get that from
I will
you,
talk
or-
to the fire coordinator. I don't
Okay.
want to say yes because it's really his data, but I'll talk with him and ask that. I would guess there's no names or anything. It's just a number, so I would guess.
3 fire companies, so I don't know. That's a
Yeah.
lot of people.
I would guess that he would share that information with the
Okay.
towns. One thing that is interesting with this, and I didn't look to see if it was in the previous legislation, but it can even be offered from fire district taxes. So it's not just town, county, school, village, but even special district taxes. So
So
a
bringing
fire
that up, the
district could-
school's going to have to do this too.
yes, we
They're gonna
have right now, Chatham, Hudson, and Ichabod Crane schools offer the exemption at the same level the county does with the 3,000.
But they would have to do another.
They'd have to do a resolution.
resolution,
The towns and the county would have to do a local law,
Thank you.
but regardless, with a public hearing.
And did I hear the figure right? You said it was 39,000 as the tax differential that would be made up?
Yes,
Okay.
based on the 294 volunteers that have been reported so far, but
Probably
only
close to-
half the
Okay,
Could
the
double.
districts in the county have
so we're talking 80,000-ish.
possibly.
Okay.
Yeah, and spread that out amongst the 40 some odd million county tax levy.
Right.
It may not amount to much, but I didn't figure that. But then you have to figure county, town, school,
Right.
and it will save, I'm guessing, it will save them more than the income tax credit. So I think they would opt for this, perhaps. I don't know.
Okay, that's it.
Could be wrong. That is it.
Got a question in the back?
Oh,
Yeah, Chairman Weigel, I'd just like to take 1 minute as a town supervisor to recognize Suzette for all the work she put in for the town of Chatham. For our reval, we had a massive differential to make up to bring us up to 100%. We had a lot of people who were very interested in their figures and their revaluation, and Suzette made extra time. She came to our virtual town board meetings after hours. She always received phone calls and worked very well with our assessor, Kim Smith. I just want to recognize all her effort on the town staff.
thank you.
Yeah, she does very good for the town.
On behalf of the entire staff of real
Yeah.
property, I thank you, because it takes a team. to do
Thank
it.
you,
So,
Suzette.
thank you.
Thank you.
Sergeant Major, you're up.
Good evening, happy new year.
Thank you.
It's already been a very busy new year. Everybody familiar with the PAC Act?
You're gonna throw, yeah,
Yeah.
right?
Yes. PAC Act is a legislation that was passed, signed in October, authorizing, similar to what Agent Orange is for the soldiers and military personnel that were in the Middle East and exposed to burn pits. And part of that adds for Thailand, Cambodia, and Laos to Agent Orange exposure. And adds 2 other diseases, mainly hypertension, to Agent Orange exposure, which we've been fighting that for a long time. So far, we've had 87 cases for PAC Act. I submitted 87. Out of those, 31 have already come back, and out of those, 22 were rated at 100%. Some of the Vietnam vets were 80, 90%, and the hypertension put them over to the 100%. And a veteran with a wife on 100% gets $3,500 a month. So a lot of money building in.
Yep.
And these burn pit cases, some of them are horrible. I had a veteran I did yesterday, stage 4 brain cancer from burn pits. The other thing that we're doing on that is the part of that legislation, it includes poison water at Camp Lejeune.
Yep.
And I had 63 people that in Columbia County that was exposed to the poison water. And I think I reported to the committee last time, instead of, and I tell my veterans, don't get involved with the ambulance chasers on TV. So we have a county attorney who is working with our vets. They meet with them. They've met with them 3 times. All the cases are done and being processed. And the ones on TV, half of them don't even call you back. So we're taking care of our own.
Good.
Yeah. Sergeant York. Sergeant York is a black horse who's a veteran. I took veterans up on Veterans Day to Chatham. He was the horse that led the caisson platoon for the funeral of President Reagan and General Powell. And served 35 years. The Army decided he was getting old and not well, so they retired him to Chatham. Recently, he's had arthritic problems, and this past Sunday came down with pneumonia. So he's in the hospital in Saratoga. And the reason I bring it up is because he was selected as one of the 4 horses in the history of the United States to receive the War Horse Award. And Senator Ashby and I went up a couple weeks ago, and the lady flew in with the award from California, and we presented it. I think, Kelly, I sent you pictures, right, of presenting the award. And now on March 8th, he's been recognized in the Congress. They've invited me and our congressman to sponsor him down there. So, but I'm not sure, I don't have the funding, so I may not go.
What did you say the horse was? What was the name?
Sergeant York. Under the Dwyer program, our widows program is just gone crazy, really expanding. We have 27 widows now in the program. They started a Veterans Food Bank, which initially I thought, well, they wanted to do it, so let's take a crack at it. Didn't think we'd have a lot of veterans come in for food bank. We gave out 14 turkeys and food for Thanksgiving, another 17 at Christmas time, and I have veterans that come in every week to get food out of the food bank. So it's really successful.
That's good.
I told a reporter, and I might have told some of you that, I put my finger in his face. He wanted to do a story on the food bank. And I said, well, if you want to do a story, you print that the Sergeant Major said that it's disgusting that we have to have a food bank for veterans, but we're going to be prepared to do it.
Yeah.
It is.
It is.
I said other words, but I won't tell you. But part of a food bank, our success has been the donations. We have the downstairs where I have my upstairs. We have full of food. We had to move some of it upstairs near my office. The Toyota in Kinderhook did a drive for food one Saturday a few weeks ago. and raised $1,600 and 2 pickup loads of food
Yeah.
that they gave to us.
They got plenty of food.
Oh, yeah, we got plenty of food.
Good.
I talked to you about it before, because you were talking about your food bank.
Yeah.
And then we have, some of my veterans who are getting 100%, are so happy that they start coming in and wanting to make donations. So we have a line item in the treasurer's office that for donations for the Dwyer program.
Yeah, good.
And biggest thing I want to do in the coming year is more outreach. I think I reported to the committee once before that Congressman Gibson and I went to and testified before the state senate last year. And when the director of the state veterans got up, they said they only reached 13% of the veterans in New York State. I reached 85%, and I'm not happy with that.
Yeah.
Every veteran should be
Mhm.
contacted. A lot of veterans don't know the benefits. One of the problems that I have with some of the widows, I'll give you a worst case scenario. Just before Christmas, I had a widow come in, and she said, somebody told me to come and talk to you because I'm entitled to benefits. And she brought the 214 in. I looked at the 214. I said, you don't get anything. Her husband had told her he was a Vietnam vet, had the Silver Star, the Bronze Star, Combat Infantry Badge. He only served 6 months active duty for training in the National Guard, but he had it all hyped up.
Oh.
You're going to be taken care of when I'm dead.
Yeah.
He's dead, and I had to tell her. It's sad.
Yeah.
So we're out there talking to him all the time. Questions?
Could you tell us if you know a little bit more about the mental health programs that changed yesterday, that vets are going to have access to private mental health care at no charge? If you're a vet, you can walk into any hospital now and get care, not just a veterans hospital.
Yeah, I haven't seen the legislation.
But you heard the announcement
Yes,
yesterday.
absolutely.
Should make a big difference for the wait times. They're concerned about suicides, I think.
Yeah, and I'll tell you.
And you had an issue with that.
Yeah, I'll tell you a story about what I think you know that last year, year before last, I talked to 3 veterans out of suicide in the middle of the night. One was Christmas Eve. Last year, we had a veteran in Germantown that called the police and said, I want the police to come and shoot me. And nobody bothered telling me. And everybody in this county knows if a veteran's involved, call me. I'm not saying I could talk him about a suicide, but I should have had the opportunity. Anyway, he goes to the VA. It's a new holiday, Juneteenth or whatever it is. Gets up to the VA and they said, we can't take you because we're on diversion for the holiday. So they sent him to Albany Med. The ER doctor in Albany Med spent an hour with him, according to what his dad told me, and said, you go home, you're doing fine, you behave yourself. Sent him to Germantown, and a half hour later, he shot his head off in front of his parents.
Mm.
So he has an ex-wife and 3 kids in California. I did their case. And then a few weeks later, this young girl walked in with his mother from Oneonta, and I was up there this weekend working on that case, and said, she claims that he had his baby. So I had to fight the VA to establish parental rights, got the baby compensation. And the reason I was up there this weekend is because she's struggling and with her and the baby, and I took food up from the widows. They sponsored them for Christmas. The baby had a great Christmas. And then the sheriff has container loads of clothes from infants to adults. And I took a load of clothes up for them.
Nice.
So we're doing some good things.
You are, Sergeant Major. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Good job, Gary. Okay, we have planning up next.
Hello, everybody. Hello. Okay, I have a few resolutions tonight. 2 are related. They deal with the ag district additions, the annual additions. First resolution is this for the seeker portion of it, and the second is the actual adopting including the additional parcels. We received 5 applications. One application was already in an ag district, and the Agri-Farmland Protection Board reviewed all of them and decided to recommend that 3 of the other remaining 4 be included, and that would be additions to ag districts number 9 and 10. Ag district 9 is in New Lebanon, and 10 is in the town of Ghent. the total acreage that would be added would be at 178.74 acres total. So the seeker application for the EAF, Rob will go through that at the full board meeting. But the recommendation is that the county act as lead agent and make a determination that the addition of the parcels will not have a significant environmental impact and will not require an environmental impact statement, and to issue a negative declaration. And the rationale for that, just for that page. Is that the addition of lands into an existing ag district will not in and of itself supersede or modify any existing land use laws or regulations, and will not result in the physical alteration of the environment or negatively impact the environment. But the addition of the land will actually result in potentially environmental benefits and serve to add existing continuation of farming and the preservation of ag land. And the protection and enhancement of ag land is in furtherance of the county's vision set forth in the Ag and Farmland Protection Plan. And also noting that ag land is vulnerable for conversion to residential development and large-scale solar installations. So this addition to the ag district will give an added protection to the agricultural land. Noting that ag land in Columbia County is important and irreplaceable resource, playing a central role in the economy and the culture of the communities, and contributes to the quality of life by providing open space, scenic beauty, vegetative and wildlife habitat, and locally sourced fresh food. So that's the rationale for the determination of significance. But that's the part 3 of the EAF. Rod will go through the part 2, the impact assessment at the board of supervisors at the full board meeting. So
you need a resolution for this one.
correct.
Question first.
I need a motion, yes.
So I know we sent this to the various supervisors, so they there's an opportunity for the towns to comment. Did we get any comments from the town of New Lebanon or Gaines?
No,
Okay, terrific.
no public comment. Comments from the towns.
Okay,
Okay.
So I need a motion for this.
so moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Okay.
Okay, so the next resolution related to all of that is to actually approve the addition of the properties to Columbia County Ag Districts number 9 and number 10.
I'll move it.
Second.
All in favor?
I haven't gotten there yet.
Well, now we're moving.
Got a lot of pictures.
Yeah.
There you go.
Moving ahead.
All right,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, who
there's a
made the
lot of
motion?
background data that
I
goes
think
along
Ron
with
made
this.
the motion.
Okay, and then who seconded?
I will.
Okay.
All in
Thank you,
favor?
sorry.
Opposed? Carried.
There's 150 pages with this one too, I think, right?
No, we did too. We're going to the short ones now. And the next resolution is appointing a member to the County Planning Board for Region 7, representing the towns of Gallatin and Taconic. Terry Porter, to reappointment, who's been serving for a number of years. And
Hold on, I'm not very happy.
We're waiting.
So both towns are happy with his reappointment?
Correct.
Okay,
I'll move it.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
What's wrong with her? There's 74 pages to this document.
Yeah, I was
I'm
gonna say.
sorry.
Yeah.
66?
Yeah, the report from the Ag Protection Board has a lot of background detail on
It's
it.
interesting though, I read it. Thank you for doing it.
Lengthy process.
All right, is that the one we just did now? Gallatin and Taconic?
Correct.
Yep.
Okay.
County Planning Board.
And that was Michael?
No, Terry Porter.
No, Michael
oh.
motioned and
Yes, yes.
Brenda.
And Brenda.
Brenda. Okay,
So should we wait for you to get to the next one?
that should be quickly. There you go.
Patricia, have we had to remove any properties from the ag land district in a while? I thought sometimes that was part of this process when we added that we had to find some other property to balance it sometimes, or?
The annual process is only for additions.
Okay.
Parcels can only be removed during the 8-year review,
Okay.
which We haven't done those in a while. It's a really laborious process and just for a number of different reasons, because the ag districts stay in place and continue as they are.
Right,
So, and this allows people to add, but fill in wait if they're removed.
but the process to remove them is once every 8 years.
Where are we in that cycle, do you know?
We are behind in all of them. The rationale for that was, because we're considering doing consolidation, recommending consolidation into one ag district. In order to do that, we had to be out of the review period for all of them. They're on a scale.
I
So,
heard so that you did so many each year or something.
correct. So now the consideration is to do review all of the parcels every 8 years, which is quite a process. So,
Yeah.
it's a consideration.
So
And
we have 10 regions in our,
10
10,
districts,
okay.
yeah.
So all 10 have to be out of the review process.
Mhm.
Okay, and are we at that place now?
Yes, we are.
Okay,
Yes,
so at some point we have to pick up this big project.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it is a big project because there's like Suzette was just talking about a mailing. All the parcels have to have mailings. There's a survey to all the farmers. There's windshield visits. There's site visits to all of the parcels that have the ag uses on them to verify that they're continuing in ag.
Some of the assessors are doing that, right, already? Aren't we doing?
Well, they do that for the ag,
That's
for the
for the
assessment part.
Ag assessments, yeah, which is a whole different.
Is that
different
soil
thing.
and water?
Soil and water is on the Ag and Farmland Protection Board, and they do provide a lot of resources to with soils data for ag uses. And they are involved with the review to an extent, but it really, in the past, it's been done by the planning department and Cornell. And the lead person in Cornell recently switched to another division of Cornell, and that portion of, it's a program dealing with agriculture and horticultural resources. And as I understand it, Columbia County and Columbia Green County Cornell Government Extension is no longer involved with that program. So that spot is empty. We don't currently have a representative from Cornell on the Ag and Farmland Protection Board. So I'm not really sure who would fill that function and provide those resources for the reviews either at this point.
Chris Watts volunteered.
Did he? Thank you.
I know Tim, you know.
He's getting the bus to go around all the properties.
Yeah.
Stephen Hancock was a good guy.
Yes, yes.
Too bad
It was a huge resource.
All right, thank you.
You have one more resolution, right?
Yep, I do. This one is from the Climate Smart Community Task Force. It's authorization to initiate a government operations greenhouse gas inventory for Columbia County. There was one that was prepared by Capital District Regional Planning Commission, and we do have that. And this would be to continue that and would be handled out of the county as opposed to out of the Regional Planning Commission. And it would be for county government operations.
Need a motion?
I'll move it.
Second.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And last but not least,
I would think, Teresa, I would think we'd be able to partner up with it. They don't have anybody at Cornell anymore. There's USDA or something. They have all the data already. And we know it's a yearly informational gathering piece that they do already.
We'll certainly look into that to see if we can tap on that resource and help us with that review, because it's a big
Yeah,
process.
it would be. That's their help.
Okay, thank you.
okay, thanks.
Thanks, Patrice. Thank you.
Opposite is yours.
Suzette took out more
I
time.
know.
I
Well,
told you.
we just
It's
shortened your
supposed to
down.
be 15 minutes each. There's 4 of you.
Yeah, we'll give you, we actually got a half hour.
Well, I'm not gonna take that.
So,
I think I'm gonna ask for a motion to go into executive session due to litigation.
We're the only ones here.
So do we have to count one?
Right off.
Oh,
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that motion.
all in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adjourn.
That was quick. You have a second? We can go.
no, time out. Say that again.
What?
Say that again.
What? Say what again?
It's on tape.
It's on tape, that's right.
Just barely.
All right, so we have a motion, we have a second.
Nobody seconded, so we're gonna, say- yeah, so we do have a second.
Acknowledge weights and measures, or do we?
All in favor, we're good to go.
Yeah, she just submits a report.
Okay.
I'd like to start by welcoming you all back to the new year and thanking back into the committee room. I think it's a much more comfortable situation in here, and I do thank her. I want to remind everybody, this is not televised, but it is being recorded, so do keep that in mind as you speak. So, first up, we have highway agenda. Tony,
Where am I going?
right here, next to Tim.
You got it, Hudson.
You better stop. There you go.
If you don't say the right thing, Kathy will nudge you. So, you know.
Probably nudge me anyway.
Right.
All right. For our work schedule, our usual winter work, patching potholes, shoulders, doing a lot of brush, removing of dead trees.
You haven't plowed a lot of snow, so.
We have not plowed a lot of snow. Got some new stuff, but that's about it. Yeah. Thank God.
So far.
So far, yeah.
You'll
It is
pay
still-
for it
It is
in
still kind of
March or
early.
April, you know.
Ways to go, yeah.
Yeah. Still pretty involved in the solid waste project.
Yeah.
And we've been preparing our annual service and commodity bids. They're going to be going out for bid early, end of this month, early February. So we'll have them for February's public works meeting. We hired 2 motor equipment operators and 3 seasonal laborers.
Big league yet?
One is actually going to be leaving. He just got a job with Consolidated. Kidding. No. But that's okay. We're still pretty good. I had a new guy start.
First year, we don't have any snow and you got drivers. But,
I've actually, what's that?
How's the mechanics? You got it.
We never filled, we still haven't filled that open spot. We haven't even gotten an application.
Really?
Yeah, so I don't know, we maybe have to re-advertise it or something, or repost it. Yeah, it's kind of odd that we've had no interest in it. And we have some resolution requests. The first one is to authorize the chairman of the board of supervisors to enter an agreement with Partners in Safety in Middletown to provide drug and alcohol testing to the Department of Public Works to meet DOT requirements.
Second.
A motion a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any discussion?
Next one's authorization to extend bids for the following services. Service contracts for 1 additional year as provided for in the existing contract for a period from May 1st, 2023 through April 30th, 2024, as per the attached appendix B. And that's for about 2 minutes.
Second.
Motion a second, all in favor?
Next, to authorize the chairman of the board of supervisors to enter into a 2-year agreement with Auctions International.
I'll second
Motion a second, all in favor?
it. Okay.
And lastly, authorization for the chairman of the board to enter into a 1-year agreement with Aspen Tree Experts to take down trees that are deemed a hazard at an hourly rate of $191.97 an hour.
Move that. Was that bid?
It's put out, we get quotes. They were the only ones that returned. I reached out to, I think, 4 different companies. They were the only ones that got back to us. They usually end up getting the bid anyways. And their price actually didn't go up from last year. That's the same hourly rate as last year. So
What about that newer group from Germantown that did it 1 year there?
he from Claremont, yeah, he never responded to the email.
Okay.
It took us a while to get him to respond for that stuff out.
Yeah, right.
Right, but that's all done. That's all.
Yeah.
For those who aren't aware, that's all been taken care of. out
So
there.
you're about to have a school bus roll down the same hill that the tree removal fall.
What's that?
Is that rail bed?
Yeah, the rail bed, yeah.
There's
Yeah,
a
we
school
got that.
bus right up there in, what's his name's yard.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Costas.
Yeah, that's an interesting little area. That rail bed's interesting. There's a lot going on up there.
All right, we had a motion, Tim, right? Yep.
Yeah.
I'll second it.
Second it, all in favor?
Aye.
And that's all I have.
Any questions for Tony?
192 an hour, isn't bad, if they're doing the aerial and.
Yeah, it's 2 men and it's 2 men on the bucket truck.
not cutting you.
Yeah, and that's just it. They do the ones we can get.
Yeah.
Ones on the power lines. They're pretty good. So that's it.
Thank you.
Good, thank you.
You're welcome.
And Jolene is up next with solid waste.
Or bank problem, okay? No more bad problem.
I like those dollar bags. Very nice. Thank you.
Okay, so projects we're working on, the solid waste master plan has been approved by DEC. That plan will remain in place from 23 to 33. The food digester has arrived at the station. Huge thank you to Highway and Facilities for all the work that they've been doing up there. Over the next month, the staff will be trained on the operation of the equipment, and we'll start advertising the expansion of the food scrap program. All the compactors have been installed with the exception of the Greenport station due to the relocation to the upper level by the scale. The retaining wall has been built, and we're hoping to have that placed in the spring. We will be submitting the grants for the reimbursement of the 2 household hazardous waste events that were held in 22. The total reimbursement back to the county will be $26,329. The RFP for the transportation and recycling service did go out on November 30th. We're still in that 60-day comment period before the final proposal can be issued. And a reminder that this is going to be a 5-year contract. The department is currently working on all their annual transfer station convenience reports, recycling reports, e-waste reports, and our annual household hazardous waste reports. Resolutions that we have before the committee. The first one is whereas the Columbia County is the planning unit responsible for the developing of the local solid waste management plan pursuant to section 270107 paragraph 1A of the Environmental Conservation Law of the State of New York. And whereas on December 9th, 2022, the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation issued a letter stating that the current draft of the plan constitutes the approval.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I know that was a lot of work.
The next one is authorization for the solid waste department to fill 1 part-time labor.
Second.
Wait a minute, are we going down to 10,000ths of a dollar here? Is that what I'm seeing? Is it that
Break
I'm
it
being
down.
precise.
Yep,
21.28 an hour.
have a new controller, don't worry.
It's all good.
Hey, got a sharp pencil, right?
Very.
Did we have a motion?
Yeah.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Okay, the next one is for the solid waste department seeking permission to enter into a service agreement with Netler Toledo to maintain the scale located at the Greenport transfer station.
Move it.
Second.
And there's 2 T's in that one.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Well,
No, okay. The next one is the solid waste director is seeking permission to enter into agreements with commercial establishments to provide waste services. Where these are necessary for the provisions of our solid waste service for commercial agreements, and it's a 1-year term.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
And last but not least, authorization to purchase 2 2023 Ford F-250 Super Cab 4x4s for the price not to exceed $135,000 for both. And this is off the Onondaga bid. And these are replacing 2 vehicles that we currently have, a 2009 that we have constant issues with, and a 2011 with very high mileage.
You got auction those other ones off?
Yeah.
This is all budgeted, right?
Yes.
I'll move it.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
If you look at the spec sheet.
And how long is it gonna take us to get those, Jolene?
And you're not gonna be taking that away from municipalities, right? I heard the Onondaga contract, they're gonna limit by geography, is that right? You're only gonna allow a certain number of vehicles to be purchased on the contract per area.
Correct.
Oh, is that right?
But I don't think that they define those areas.
I haven't heard that yet.
And that's all I have, unless anybody has any questions.
One comment, Jolene, and you talk about promoting the food scrap program in the future. I think by some of the emails that you've been getting, it might be helpful to do some type of press release that defines composting and food composting, because
Definitely.
people are confused on that.
Yep.
Will do.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Who we got next? Facilities is up next.
Already, are we supposed to ask?
That's fine.
We're not letting them go anywhere. Like that, so.
I don't
You don't have
get,
to
I don't get.
That's only because I
I just, exactly.
Hey, he was 11 minutes late, wasn't he? You know, so
He was.
Good evening. Work throughout the county, routine, monthly building, property maintenance, couple things, caulk windows, furniture move stuff, basics. Highlighting the 560, Centrica project, so far the windows installed, the fob door system's in for the side door, and I don't know if anyone's taken a ride past that building, the windows came out really nice.
Really
That
does
building-
look
the
nice
building
for
does
that
look good.
building,
So, and, everyone's happy too, like it had a real impact on the heating because now,
It doesn't go through. so-
yeah, the wind doesn't, so they've noticed the difference there, so it was a good project. Up at solid waste, we're still, got some work to do, rerouting some of the electric. Weather hasn't been great either, so, but we should be wrapped up, fairly soon until the new compactor gets put in place, and we'll just have to hook that up, but it's going pretty good. Over at the courthouse, we're in a little bit of a rental project. They're hiring more staff, so we had to, move around, build another office. Then we're waiting to get out of that one so we can get into another office to redo. But interestingly, the courthouse, Robert Stevenson, he's like the facility planner for this, one of the facility planners for the state. He entered that project, the main room, into I think it was called National Center for State Courts for Space Utilization and Renovation. So he put together a slideshow. I'm going to send it to you if anyone ever wants to take a look at what we did to that farm. There's still a little bit of work left, and they're planning on doing like a presentation because they really did put a lot of money and a lot of technology into the sound system there. So it's actually it's pretty neat. I was in there when they were testing it, and it's state of the art. And
Talking about that, we were talking about the AC system. Remember that? Where did we ever go with all that?
So it's in design right now. As a matter of fact, the engineer has provided 90% design documents. They just submitted those 2 days ago. So we're in the process of reviewing those and then we're actually going to schedule something with the court system as far as implementation.
Right.
So that'll be the next step after I review this.
yeah, so that's
So the sound system's all working out.
Yes.
That's in there.
Yeah.
You can hear one another better.
Oh yeah, it was amazing. Like I put the headphones on, I can hear you talk. As soon as someone talks in the mic, you just hear the mic.
Yeah.
And even if you're right next to it, it's pretty neat, So they did spend a lot of money on this, and they plan on doing a big presentation, pretty soon. So I'll put the email out, if anyone wants to go.
This
So
money was from us or from the Unified Court?
that was considered tenant work, so that is fully 100% reimbursable. So anything that we spent on that project, they were including salaries. So I keep a track of the work being done.
So yeah, the
everything.
majority of the money came from the state.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times we have to shell the money out first, and then we do the recap and get reimbursed. So that's how it kind of works there. So
Not the AC system, right?
That's one of the things we actually
we're talking about
negotiate.
yeah,
That's the reason for having a meeting.
No, I know.
Before we
I
start
remember the
going
numbers
into,
on it.
yeah, before we get into implementation.
There's normally with that, it's 25% for routine maintenance. But if it's something that they request, like painting carpet, renovations, that suits them, then they're at full 100% reimbursable money. So, so yeah, that's how kind of that'll lead us into the next resolution.
I have a question. Is all the courtrooms or just big one?
This project was specific just to the main courtroom.
The one who can't hear it?
Correct. Yes. Yeah, because the other, most of the other courtrooms, they,
They're okay,
yeah, the drop ceilings it was a lot better system. And that, like, as you know, the main courtroom was very large and it was, it was a problem. So now it is a lot better. So, and basically, bunch of routine maintenance. I do have a resolution. Authorization to renew the budget period and accept reimbursement funding from New York State Unified Court System for maintenance and at the Columbia County.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
We like money coming our way.
The last time we talked a while back on that generator that went over in at DLT, big old cat that's in there.
Yeah.
How's that
Over
doing?
at the highway?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still, you
Still
know,
all right?
yeah. So,
I know last time there was some questions on it, but 6, 8 months ago, maybe.
oh, she's definitely, she's an oldie, you
But it's
know.
still
but-
okay. for
Yeah.
some issues, okay.
Yeah, so far, so good. We, run a weekly test.
Yeah,
We
I
don't,
got to ask you,
we
I
don't
know there was
transfer
something-
load, you know, I might do that. I might start doing that once a quarter over there, but we just gotta let them know, cause I don't know, I don't think they have a UPS to back up the computer, so I'd have to tell everybody, you know,
Yeah.
shut down, you gotta, you know, then so we can transfer load and vice versa when we, bring it
I
back,
don't really have
so.
that many computers in that building.
I mean, engineering and highway, those
Yeah.
primarily,
Yeah,
and then
put
we've
some
got.
backups in there.
Yeah.
So that's it, they may have something for the server possibly, but not
Yeah,
at
not for the
any,
individual.
any individual,
Right.
so like the late, you know, up in the office, if they're working on something, like a
Sure.
lot of times they gotta shut down, but we gotta let them know when we transfer back, you gotta log off
Right.
again, you know, it is.
Just in case there's a power surge.
Sure.
Sign shop's another big one.
True. that's
Oh,
right.
yeah, that's what they really should have. a
Yeah.
backup.
So, but-
Alright.
so, cause we've done it before, but, you know, I haven't heard that the power outage, you know, has come on, so. You know, but we do a weekly, run test on it, just to get it, you know, running. for about a week.
I know we talked about it a while back, and I was just saying, I think you had,
I mean,
I
it,
think Cat was coming down there or something, there was something going on.
well, we, like, currently right now, we're still in the process, I'm waiting to get all the figures, for all the buildings. Just in case we wanna try to, you know, put some money out there for the, like, emergency, you know, to fund some of the projects, so. I talked to him probably like 2 weeks ago, so he's still trying to pull the numbers together, so. 'Cause I know the jail is definitely one on the radar, and that was a possible grant to replace that, so. But right now, you know, I'm just waiting on figures, so.
Alright.
But that is one that we can, you know, I think he did look at, so,
Yeah, that was.
you know,
a big
because like I
old
said,
deal.
that is an old
Yeah.
unit, so I think it's off of a dozer, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Something that it was big.
Yeah.
But it was,
So,
and again, those things will run forever.
no, like I said, you know, the only problem we had, was happening, they call it, was we were blowing a fuse just because of simple, moisture. So what we have to do is put a block heater on in there. And I had to get a barrel heater just around, you know, just on those, until we get to the summer. Never had a problem since. It's
That's,
simple
I
thing
think,
like a-
that was the last.
Yeah, it was just like a simple barrel heater, and that solved the problem, so.
All right,
Yep.
any questions for Brian? Thank you.
Brian, I don't, I'll reach out to him and find out.
Okay.
Let you know.
All right, I didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna save the best for last.
I don't know about that.
Turn it over to
I'll do-
Mr. Jakowski.
I'll do my best. County Route 18, as far as Fishing Game Road, so the construction for the winter has temporarily been halted. The contractor has completed, the bulk of the tree and, rock removal for the project. They anticipate that the work is gonna start up again in March. 2022 bridge repairs, so now those have all been completed. The last one had to do with the Kinderhook Truss Bridge, so that was reopened, to traffic on December 23rd. So we were able to shorten up that time frame a little bit. I know there were quite a few businesses within the Hamlet and Village area that were concerned, but,
Never heard any fallout from it though.
no,
Nobody ever
nor did I. I know the
complained.
mayor was very happy the fact that we were able to get it open prior to Christmas, so that all worked out well. One of the other repairs was the Rossman Bridge repair, and actually that work was done by the bridge crew. So the originally anticipated cost of that was going to be $45,000. That was the engineer's estimate that had done the design. The bridge crew was able to complete that work by renting a trailer to get underneath the bridge to gain access to the bridge seat and to make the repair. But the entire repair was less than $10,000. So the bridge crew saved a lot of money for the county. And again, I think one of the things I'd like to look at in the future is that trailer unit, to see if we could purchase it at some point in the future, because that would help with future maintenance, cleaning, and maintaining these bridges so we can actually extend the life of some
What
of
kind of,
these.
that trailer, what kind of price?
Total was in the area of 225 in that area. They wanted to sell it to us last year, but we told them that we'd be thinking about it come future. But again, definitely a good investment for the county to consider as we move forward. In addition to that, there was about we reduced the scope to the design engineers for their inspection crews, so they only did periodic inspections at critical times, and I ended up handling all of the shop drawing reviews and things of that nature. So on the construction admin end, we were able to save another $35,000 as well. So
Great.
again, quite a bit of savings overall regarding
Find some
that.
other places then.
Oh, there's
Yeah.
there's plenty of
There's a
places.
resolution next for the trailer.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm keeping a list.
I know, I was just.
He's building up that savings.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah.
It's also been a lot of applications as far as grants. So it's grant season as far as Bridge New York right now. So engineering department had put together 2 bridge culvert projects, one for County Route 8 down in Germantown, a second one for County Route 13 in Chatham. Those were submitted last week. We are working on an additional Bridge New York grant for a bridge, which would be the Rossman Bridge. That is due this Friday. Stuyvesant Falls Bridge, we've completed our result for the review of the consultants. Final funding agreement is pending with New York State DOT, and I'm still waiting for the final contract from the consultant as well. Once I receive those, then I'll provide a resolution to the committee, hopefully for next month, to keep that process moving. Greenport Transfer Station, as the others have indicated, the crews all work well together as far as highway facilities and solid waste. So there's a lot of work that's been going on. Again, the main retaining wall for the new compactor location has been completed. They're now working on the turnaround.
Did that fill that behind it yet?
They're working on that now. As a matter of fact, Brian was just finishing up on the electrical work, and they'll continue to backfill that. And they saw cut the pavement, and they're getting that up that area ready for subgrade prior to paving in the spring. The lower area has been pretty well finalized. We actually did a test run with the tractor trailers today, making sure that the tractor trailers had enough room. So all of that bulk regrading, all of that rock removal, that's all been done. It's all been brought in for subgrade. We're going to open it up shortly, and then we'll come back in the spring, remove any bad material as far as anything that's been contaminated with dirt, mud, and so forth, and then get it ready for paving.
I encourage everybody, I know both Ray and Jolene have talked about this, but take a ride up through there. I mean, we've done quite an investment in that property in the last year here. So take a ride through someday. Thanks.
As Brian indicated, as far as the DMV building, so that work continues to move forward. The windows are done, as he indicated. They're continuing to work on the mechanical systems. As a matter of fact, the cooling tower originally was supposed to be delivered and set tomorrow, but because of the impending weather, they postponed that till next week. So that'll provide a partial closure along North 6th Street while that work gets done. But it's only anticipated to take a couple hours. They're actually going to be coming in early to try to minimize the impact to the actual office. If all goes well, they should be out of there by 9 o'clock, but we've identified 10 o'clock.
And I did take a tour the other day with Brian of the mechanical work that has been done. And it's nice work. It's looking good. And there's equipment stuff they can't get, but that's another story.
That's been the issue, even with the
A little
children.
holdups, but
Yeah, this has been back and forth.
Yeah, the supply chain, it's been
Right.
horrendous. And again, that's nothing about the contractor, it's just the supply chain itself. The DSS building, we had a kickoff meeting with Centrica to begin the investment grade audit. So they've actually put in sensors and data collectors to collect data as far as the various temperatures throughout the building to identify hot spots, cool spots, and so forth. And we'll continue to work with them as they move forward. Also, grant-wise, on January 11th, the grant was submitted to New York State Department of Transportation under the New York State Airport Modernization Program. That was for $2.5 million, and that was to renovate the existing terminal building. And that is a 90 to 10% ratio. So that main building has not been touched as far as any renovations since it was first constructed back in the late 60s, early 70s. So
They're not gonna make it bigger, it's just gonna renovate it.
we're going to renovate the existing. If you remember, there's the 1980s Olympic trailer.
Yeah.
So the intent is to get rid of that and to
Okay.
build a new structure where that one.
Oh, all right, that's part of
And that's part of that as
Oh,
well.
okay.
That's part of that cost as well.
'Cause I was wondering, that seemed like it was high just for.
Yeah, no, and a big part of it was basically replacing that footprint.
Right.
But that unit, it's old electric
Yeah.
heat, and again, it was a temporary building back in the 1980s when it was an Olympic facility.
Sure.
So it's definitely outlived its useful life. There are two pre-applications that actually were submitted yesterday. One is for the taxi light rehab design, and the other one for the terminal gate. Again, both of those were submitted, and both of those are 95 and 5. So 90% federal, 5% state, and 5%.
It's kind of funny when we do the lighting, we're constantly doing lighting all there, it seems. I know we do runway, then you think they just do them all in one shot.
Yeah, so it's very interesting with the FAA. It's similar to CHIPS because it has to do with timing the useful life. So again, pavement, we can only repave every 10 years. So if there's a section of pavement that was done within 8 years, we can't touch that, or we don't get funded.
Right.
So that's why we're constantly
This
doing
happens
items
with
like
this,
this. Same thing with the lighting. Exactly.
That'll bring all of them up to LED though.
That's correct.
Yeah, yeah, that should clean it up,
That
right?
should be,
Correct.
yeah, that should be the end of it.
Yep.
Takes the challenge right out of land.
The FAA also announced on December 30th of last year that a new program and grant opportunity was available for the 2022 Airport Improvement Program, and this is supplemental discretionary grant funding, all geared towards climate change and the climate challenge. So climate challenges is that they're trying to make all of the airports, not the aircraft themselves, but the airport, net zero emissions by 2050. So they're implementing all kinds of money and putting millions of dollars into this. The unfortunate
something about the planes.
Yeah, would that make?
one step at a time. One step. At a time.
Didn't the full lockdown show us something with air quality?
That's true. Good point.
Okay.
Baby steps, I guess. However, unfortunately, the grants need to be submitted by the end of January. So they only gave it a 30-day period. Taking a look at the criteria, it looks like solar is an available project. So what we're going to be going for, what I'm recommending is that we submit a grant not to exceed $1 million. Again, we're still working on development because we only have 30 days to develop this and come up with the cost and so forth, but basically to allow for PV systems on each one of the roofs of the building. So that would mean the 2 hangars as well as the T hangars to offset any and all costs, electrical costs associated with the airport. Anything that would be produced above and beyond that could then go to other buildings. Okay. So from there, resolution request.
Ray, I'd just like to interrupt and just talk about the airport quickly. We used to have an airport committee, and the airport committee would meet with the consultants and then send resolutions to Public Works. We kind of merged those last year, but I'd asked the chairman earlier this year to establish a airport work group that's not make up of an entire committee, so that we can meet remotely with the consultant, so we can do a Zoom call with the consultant who's from the Syracuse area, and so that Ray's working on setting that up shortly. So we'll have that work group of some of the old airport committee people, and then that. But if anybody has any interest in that, certainly feel free to join in or something. But we didn't want to have it to be an official committee, because then you have to meet in public and all that stuff. And it's easier to meet with this consultant by Zoom.
Yeah, because again, they're out of the Rochester area. Some of the engineers are out of the Rochester area. The other ones are out of the Latham area. But again, it's a little easier if we're able to do it remotely.
So we are reestablishing that airport committee, if you would, but it's not a committee. Is that right, Kelly?
That's right.
Okay.
That's a dirty
I
word.
know. I'm be careful how I say it. The work group. Sorry, Ray.
They
First,
seem to be giving a lot of money toward all through COVID, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
They did. Yeah.
correct. And so
We did capture some good money out there.
yes,
so.
we did. And as a matter of fact, we still have additional monies as part of the bill funding, which we actually have not utilized. So that's above and beyond the items that we've identified. We're gearing up to look at the replacement of what's known as the AWAS system, which is the weather reporting system, to upgrade that to make it more appropriate for a regional airport, which Columbia County is. And that would provide not only real-time data as far as the weather, but it actually could look at predicting that weather as well, which would also help pilots, and that would be published. So we'll be upgrading that.
That autonomous, I'm sorry to interrupt you again, that autonomous
Oh, the
Helicopter thing?
Oh, yeah, so, that's been in review by the FAA. As a matter of fact, I received some input back from the FAA indicating that they have approved its location and the fact that it will not have an adverse impact to the, operation of the airport. If all goes well, the contractor could, although I don't think they're ready, they could break ground as soon as the end of the month to actually
Oh,
install the
really?
charging
That-
station.
that-
Yeah, the hangup has been on the FAA's part, because Ralph Gatto, the person that we deal with FAA, he was familiar with it, but there were others within the FAA that were actually not familiar with that type of unit and as well as an aircraft. So it was a little education on their end.
That's still gonna be with, what was it, with,
Beta?
yeah.
Yeah, with that same company, correct.
I figured by now that gets sold out somewhere.
Yeah, no, not yet, not yet.
They were gonna establish EV car charger on our side of it.
That's correct, and that's
Right.
still part of the project, yeah, so there's a car charger on our part, on the parking lot side of the fence, and then there's the airport charger.
So on the car charger, is that gonna be like a supercharger they're putting in?
Yeah, it's a class
Level
2.
3.
Both, I think.
Oh, that's right, yes, I'm sorry, there's both.
Yeah, I think it's both.
It is both, correct.
Okay.
So first resolution is authorizing the chairman to sign agreement for construction
I'll move that.
authorization and administration of the terminal.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, all in favor?
Second resolution is to submit grants to the FAA under their airport improvement program for an amount not to exceed $1 million. Again, federal funding being 90%, state 5, over 5 county.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
The last resolution has to do with the replacement of an existing kerosene unit heater located at the Kinderhook DPW outpost with a new LP gas-fired unit heater in the amount of $12,250. We put out requests for quotations for that. We received 2 back, the lowest being $12,250. That includes providing some infrastructure that would allow us to then convert the remaining units all over to LP gas rather than kerosene. So right now, the proposal is to replace this one unit out of the 2023 budget that Tony has for outposts. But moving into 2024, I would create a capital project to replace the remaining 3 units.
Do we have a tank there?
We got a 1,000-gallon kerosene
Yes.
tank outside.
Kerosene, but what about propane?
No, we're gonna set a tank.
We're setting a
Yeah,
tank for the propane.
So we have, that doesn't include.
That does not include that, correct. We're actually getting additional quotes for that because we want to
We're
purchase.
gonna purchase. the
Yes,
tank.
we are going to purchase the tank in case we change who our
Right.
suppliers are.
So if you go to what, 1,000, we can say 1,000.
So we could just plunk that
That's gonna be
outside.
big enough for
Yeah,
handling
yeah,
everything else? Cool.
Yeah, the header pipe that's going to be installed, that's all been sized to deal with all the future demands as well.
Is
The
the other
comparable
tank,
BTUs,
What's that?
the comparable BTUs.
Yes,
As far as the units themselves, yes.
is the tank, that 1,000-gallon tank, is that above ground? or-
it is, and it's a real nice tank too, if we
The
could find a
kerosene
place
tank.
to use it, but.
Yeah, so the kerosene tank is in good shape. It's only a few years old, and actually, there's another facility out in Copiague that they have an existing tank that is above grade as well, but it's in need of replacement. So the intent would be exactly clean it up, get kerosene all cleaned out of it, and then convert it over and utilize it as a diesel tank.
I'll move that. Oh. Second.
We got a motion and a second, all in favor?
That's it for engineering.
Very good, any questions for engineering?
Anybody buying about that old bridge up in, Phantom?
Yeah, so as a matter of fact, we allowed the they hired a consultant to take a look at it, to see whether it could be repurposed for pedestrian and bicyclists and so forth. So we opened it up to allow their consultant to gain access to the deck and do an inspection. That was a couple weeks ago? Yeah, about 2 weeks ago. Other than that, I have not heard anything further.
I was in a Chatham meeting last night and said, people are unofficially using that for a bike trail and a horse ride. I said, they should be unofficially using that.
Right. Well,
That's dangerous.
right. Well, we did. So was that recently that they didn't use it? Because we had provided,
You put the chain
fences.
link
Yeah,
over
we
it,
put fences on
Did
each
I ever
side.
send you that picture where someone had opened it up?
Yeah. And then, they had to go back for a repair. Yeah, they repaired it.
Savages up there in my town.
Yeah.
All right, anything else to bring to Public Works?
No public on the meeting?
No.
Then we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much, folks.